police say we want evidence. So now we're producing evidence publicly, so that no one says there was no evidence. There's no need for ZEC to say you did not make a report. There's no need for the police to say you did not make a formal report. I always ask, if the police see an accident, do they need a report to attend to it? No, they don't. So why is it exposing the corruption in these institutions? So with all that documentation from the forensic, from the Auditor General's office, what more evidence do you want? How many recommendations, how many audits have been done? And the recommendations are not attended to. And this is something that I feel the media has let us down. Yes, we talk about state capture. Is there no media capture too? That's probably something to talk about too. That how come the media does not report on the Auditor General's report, which clearly says this one must be investigated, this one must be investigated. And on the Auditor General's report, the witnesses are those who did the audit, isn't it? So why has it become so difficult for people to be arrested in that regard? And why has the media equally been quiet about it? I'm also of the view that the fourth estate is also captured in a big way. No wonder why social media is now taken over. Print media is not there. You write what you think is. We also don't have confidence in giving information anymore, because once you give information, you pass it on to these guys who have captured, so that you you get some money out of it, you pay your rent and everything. So we have no confidence anymore, and I must say it in the media. You see, I give you evidence. You quickly phone that person to say, Mliswa gave me this evidence, and you're given money. We are not stupid anymore. So we now keep the evidence ourselves. You take pictures, we go. We also have our own videos that we take too. That's the good thing about social media. Some of us have got over 200,000 following on Twitter, which is even more than some media houses. So on our own, we're able to do that, and thanks to social media. It enables us in that regard. Let me start by saying that today is the 26th of February 2020. Money in their houses, and not who don't bank. It's the Indians. We don't talk about it. So I thought that, we are forced to focus on non-issues. Not to say that there are no black cartels, no. But the black cartels are like 100 on the list. I want to deal with the number one. And as we go down, I want you to think that I left out anybody. I'm going order by order, order by order, with the investigations that I have. And then you see who really has captured the thing state. Good morning, Zimbabweans and all media here present, and thank you for attending. Corruption is a scourge that has strong chokehold on Zimbabwe. Its effects are deep and far-reaching. It reduces foreign, direct, and domestic investment. It increases inequality and poverty, distorts and exploits public investments, and reduces public revenues. Furthermore, it erodes the trust we have in the public sector to act in our best interest and to expose people to who have to put up with poor quality services or infrastructure. Unfortunately, corruption may be experienced the world over. It's the level that makes or breaks an economy, and sadly it would appear that we are currently experiencing corruption of unprecedented levels, to the extent of state capture, where many individuals and institutions are involved. Whilst I have always been a crusader against corruption and have in the past exposed numerous incidents, the latest case is by far the biggest. It all started when disgruntled employees from Breakridge Investment approached me citing racial discrimination and unfair labor practice. The encounter basically opened a can of worms into the intricate dealings of the conglomerate operating in Zimbabwe since the late 1980s. Talk about Breakridge meeting. Breakridge is a company which is owned by Mike Fowler and Zed Goodnorris. They control Pixton Mine in Chegutu. Who's Pixton Mine? It belonged to Andrew Cranswick, who was white, and then passed on the ownership to them. Were they in exchange of money? We don't know, but it was done offshore. And how much money was exchanged offshore? Pixton Mine is one of the biggest gold mine assets in this country. 2, they have got Eureka Mine that they bought from Bridget Hadere. Again, it's big. The 2 combined become probably, they are likely to be the biggest producers of gold in this country. They're owned by Zed and Mike Fowler. Was there an exchange of money? And where was the money put? What have the authorities done to get to understand the transactions? The due diligence of any investor who's looking into it. Is it the RBZ? In which arm of government is responsible for saying this investor coming in has money, this investor has no money? We have cold storage commission, for example, which was bought by Nick Havercroft. Nick is a poor white man who absolutely has nothing, but today he's in control of CSC because he's white. He's stripping off the assets today instead of investing. Where was the due diligence done? I've already given you a list of people already who are white, who are not black, who have got the real assets of this country. The companies make applications to Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, RBZ, and are funded at concessionary rates. We want to look at when it was 1-to-1. How much did INSCO get for buying potatoes? When it was 1-to-1, how much did INSCO get for buying chickens? And did they use that money for buying chickens, or it was externalized? The companies that they purport to have offshore, which this government is paying to, who owns them? Is it not INSCO equally creating those companies and owning them again? The much needed foreign currency in this country is coming from production, the production sector. Zimplats pay taxes, Unki pay taxes, Mimosa pay taxes. That foreign currency which is supposed to go into their own production does not go into their own production. It then goes into the non-productive sector, where on a 1-to-1 we're paying for potatoes, we're paying for chickens. Dubious transactions are subsequently created, and the local companies are then purported to be debtors of the offshore vehicles. We've got the names of the offshore vehicles. That is the reason why we say we are not at a level of investigating crime which is sophisticated. Have you heard of ZAC or ZRP jumping on a business class to go and invest in offshore? Why then do we create offshore vehicles when the money that we're making in is Zimbabwe? And why can't we keep it here? But every little money which is generated in Zimbabwe in Forex finds itself offshore. We'll give you the names of the offshore companies. The alleged externalization is said to be facilitated through companies such as AGA Africa and Sub-Saharan Group International. Who are the owners? And this is the information that we now want the law enforcement agents to go to INSCO and see how much money has gone into these companies. Further, who owns these companies? Money received from RBZ is then allegedly channeled to these offshore accounts to fund the said debts. In order to track these illicit money flows, it is therefore important to understand from an externalization point of view how much companies have received and how it has been accounted for. So here is the first thing. Can INSCO tell us how much money they've received on a one-to-one? Where is it going to? The companies are authorized to trade in foreign currency locally, of which they do in various sectors of the economy, including tourism and fast food industry. So why are we prioritizing a company which is allowed to trade in foreign currency, but you still give it foreign currency? The hospitals which charge us in Zimbabwe dollars, we are not allocating foreign currency to them, but we're allocating foreign currency to companies which are trading in foreign currency. What is the rationale? What is the thinking of that? It does not make any common sense. It does not make any economic sense. What we believe in is that the foreign currency that they are generating must then be the one that they use to import whatever goods they want, be it raw materials. Let's take it a step further. How many of their workers are paid in foreign currency? If they generate in foreign currency. How many? You see, you need to understand this deep. And unfortunately, we don't think deep and thick. And as a result, we're not able to say, but, Vashandi, kutambira foreign currency, mukambani, asa about foreign currency. Yet, there is a law that allows you to pay people in foreign currency if you're generating an income in foreign currency. It does, even if you're in Zimbabwe, it does not have to be an expatriate. But they are prepared to now play with it on the payroll market, okay? And then give you RTGS. Then you then say, oh, it is the black people who are pushing the rates on the ground in terms of payroll market. You're missing the point. They then go and burn that money. And then they pay the workers RTGS and not foreign currency and so forth. If they are generating foreign currency, why do they continue to apply foreign currency from RBZ at concessionary rates? Where does this money go? How is it calculated in Zimbabwe? As the monetary authority, it is imperative that RBZ follows up on these transactions through banks to avoid compromise and capture. It is about time that the RBZ now follows up on every transaction done and seeing kuti iri kusvika ere kwainofanira ichisvika and so forth. And accounting what has also become of that money in terms of anything bought. My comrade across the border, Commander-in-Chief of the EFF, Comrade Malema, always talks about white capital monopoly. And Zimbabweans, because you think you are liberated, you are also not tied to them. How foolish, how stupid. White capital monopoly. Liberation came in 1980. We focused on politics. They continued doing business, making money. The land reform happened. We focused on taking land. They focused on controlling the commodity aspect of the country. Is it true or not? Whose problem? Whose national foods? Who controls the food chain in this country? Yet we claim to be rich. If you don't control the food chain in this country, you're nowhere. 40% of what you buy per day, INSCO is involved. I said 40% of what you buy in a day, INSCO is involved. Bread, chicken, eggs. Is that money going to a black person? No. White capital monopoly. That's how he plays it. Who controls the inputs in this country. My fellow Zimbabweans, you're excited about little things. Industry has moved to Borodo, Harare Drive. Hosted Brothers, where is it? FSG, where is it? That industry is gone. Drive along Harare Drive today and go and see the companies which are there. No black owns a company there. Not only have they moved away from the black areas which are impoverished, they've moved to the white areas which are affluent. And people follow money. Money does not follow people. So why don't we today take a ride on Borodo Road? I'll put you in a combi, you don't have to worry about fuel or pay. And then let's say it's a 15-minute ride and back. And look at how long did it take FSG to build that factory. It was within 6 months to a year. Are there no industries in this country which they could have taken over from government to do the same thing? We've moved away from the procurement being in the control of the private sector and not in government. Sebo Chemicals, where government is a shareholder, they don't get orders from government for fertilizer. ZFC windmill, they don't get, yet it's their cheapest. FSG is given a 5-year contract where they're paid 60% in foreign currency. 60% in foreign currency. So do they need to go on the streets to sell refined foreign currency? No, they don't, because they're given that. The black companies that you're talking about, which are involved in command agriculture, they are given RTGS. 100%. And they are forced to go on the market and raise the foreign currency. Are you understanding? Because the 60% they are given is foreign currency advance. So do you need to go on the black market? No. But if you're given 100% in RTGS, do you need to go on the black market? Yes. So what do they do now? They say, oh, look at the blacks who are pushing the rate. But the black cannot be given 60% in advance of foreign currency. FSG is given that. And then we then blame the black people for not delivering. Yet their resources are inadequate. These companies operate in diverse sectors of the economy. However, it is the food chain monopoly that raises eyebrows. Insco Africa owns National Foods, Pro Brands, Profits, Baker's Inn, Triple C, Qualcomm, Ivins. Now they're into gold mining. So which black is this? When Chicken Slice, is that Chicken Slice? They are fighting him every day. Our own. Us here have never promoted our own. Where is our conscience? He hasn't got such a monopoly. Where is our conscience? And then you come and tell us that it is the blacks who are destroying the economy. You'd rather have a black man rich in this country because you invest in this country. But the government does not also believe in its people. Who has got the biggest claims in this country of minerals? It's the whites. They speculate. Billy Rottenberg is given total for nothing. He makes 400 million from it. Any of us could have been given that. But is that 4 million in this country? 400 million, sorry. Is it in this country? So what's the difference between Billy Rottenberg and you when you're given a concession? The people who are buying a concession are not buying the face. They are buying the mineral on the ground. Mboya chitubu warushurugu wapi tuona kutuwarunga watenge. It's the mineral that they want. It's not the face that they want. They are alleged to have received over 50% of the maize milling. Why do they receive preferential treatment? The committee was there yesterday on agriculture, chaired by Honorable Wajigene. A lot came out of it, and it probably does tell with what I'm saying now. The danger of having one monopoly, one company controlling the majority of basic commodities is that the country may be held to ransom through pricing artificial shortages. There is no state which is right in its mind that allows a company to control that without government having a shareholding. It's impossible. It's national security risk. They can sabotage and say we are not doing anything. And to me, why is government allowing this to happen? With such a potential risk to national security, how then do we have companies like in South Africa controlling the entire food chain? How did the Zimbabwe Competition Tariffs Commission allow such unfair business practice to prevail? They capture. What they do, they're prepared to sponsor each one person, like I'll see in every institution, who pushes the agenda. The Prosecutor General's Office, police, national ZAC, and I'll tell you the names of the people who are placed in those institutions to look out for them. If anything happens, they push the agenda. I have official documentary evidence on INSCO Limited and their capture of state institutions, and now they have senior public officials in their leash. Their evidence clearly proves their position in externalization and so forth. I have with me here a colleague, a friend of mine, who was a director in INSCO, Adrian Moyo. With us here is the evidence of who was involved and so forth. All the transactions which were done, inflating a price in foreign currency of 30,000, which is supposed to be paid, they would put it to 180,000. Zimmer agrees, everybody agrees, and so forth. So we have the evidence with us here, which we will make you go through paper by paper, because we said we are tired of having press conferences and saying, oh, we are just big mouths. I'm a legislator. My credibility is important. When I stand before people, I must report on facts. The Prosecutor General was not misleading Odzi when he made his declaration of state capture. The good thing about it, to show that is true, government did not issue a statement to the contrary, neither did he apologize. I did not see it. Which means that he was correct. The former Prosecutor General Goba Ray was captured by INSCO, and we will prove it. How he was captured by INSCO. On to the land cases. That we have done with the evidence, and for us to come here and for Adrian to appear before you with this, these are people who are tired. The racism in these institutions is out of line. My thinking is that, are they saying that the Second Republic is sympathetic to the whites? They're also excited about land being, the land reform being reversed. The president came and said, never forget. And now we are saying to the president, we are now in the Second Republic, the racism that we are facing, we've never faced before. People are quiet, but they're speaking. The racism is out of this world. And for me, somebody said, oh, but Mliswa, that's the usual thing. He's extorting, he wants to be paid, and so forth. I started fighting racism when I was 16 years old. I didn't know money in rugby and cricket, those who know me. So was I looking for money when I was 16? I didn't even know money. I was being given money by my parents. Some of us have a conscience, some of us have a history. And I don't know why everybody thinks I'm poor, just that I don't talk about my thing wealth and thing public. And I'll never talk about my wealth in thing public, but I'm not poor, I'm very comfortable. The Mugabe regime empowered us a lot through the thing land reform. Yeah, I'm sitting on 350 hectares of maize, 50 hectares of sugar beets, a head of 1,200. That's quite a lot, besides the other work that I do outside this country. That's why you see me wearing African attire now. I'm involved with the Nigerians who are rich in many ways and so forth. Suits don't give me value at all. So we don't have to talk about that. We don't splash our wealth, and we never splash our wealth. We are quite comfortable, but we will not at all. And I don't know why you always think that we are looking for money. I don't know why you think that we're always, every black man extorts, and you are the people who write about that. Every person wants a facilitation fee and so forth. There are not enough people in this country that can afford my facilitation fee unless you're in the oil industry. And there's no oil in Zimbabwe. So it is important for us to understand that those who have issues on me have a right to go to the police and report. I'm the most wanted person, and issue on corruption on me will make headlines. So why don't you just go with the proof? Why don't you set up recordings of me? Why don't you trap me with money and so forth? There are many ways, and say we caught him doing this and so forth. It's because I'm not involved in that. I don't do that. I fight for people. I fight for people. I represent people. And these issues are of national interest. You ask me, what am I doing in Joshua Nkomo in Kambuzuma? Are they not Zimbabweans? Am I not a national member of parliament? I am. So when I represent people, they come to me because they've realized that the independent member of parliament is independent in also debating. They're not comfortable with other parties as well, which you would also appreciate. I want to talk about this which I have here, Billy Rottenberg. I must commend the people of Joshua Nkomo for having paper trail. Billy Rottenberg goes to Joshua Nkomo and says he owns it. What is ownership? Ownership is title deed. Ownership is title deed. This is the title deed of Joshua Nkomo. For those who want to see. It belonged to Rothmans International, PLC, not Billy Rottenberg, not Themba Mliswa. And then they transferred it to the state. And this is the stamp of the state. Here. They transferred it to the state. And when it is transferred to the state like the land reform, it is stamped here. So this is the title deed. And then, on that title deed, this is Rothmans International, there. Really hurts me. This makes me want to cry. To understand how we allow a white man to claim he's got title, go and destroy people's houses, and the police is there with AKs. And the entire government does not pick it up. Rothmans International. This is the title deed. We then move to the government gazette, which is here, which was done. The government gazette is here, which was done. And here, this is when on this black spot, if you read clearly, it was done from Rothmans International. That's the government. So he then does a fake title deed here. You think it's blacks who fake? Whites do fake. In case you didn't know that. You always think it's blacks stealing. And you always accuse us of getting bribes from whites.
Can you show it?